Welcome back. Today we're diving straight into a high-yield source-to-sea rapid review explanator of the Kaveri River system. We're going to break this whole thing down perfectly for your UPSC exam prep. Let's get right into it. To make memorizing all this data completely effortless, we've split our journey into 6 quick exam syllabus buckets: origin and quick facts, basin share, tributaries, dams and infrastructure, the environment, and finally, the water dispute. Okay, starting off with Section 1, Origin and Quick Facts, also known as the Dakshina Ganga. Let's kick things off with Paper I Geography. Spanning roughly 800 kilometers, the Cauvery, often called the Ganga of the South, or Pani in ancient Tamil literature, is the 3rd largest river in South India. It sits just behind the Godavari and Krishna rivers. Honestly, it's an absolute geographical powerhouse for the peninsula. Now, here's a fact that loves to pop up in prelims. Unlike most seasonal peninsular rivers, the Cauvery is actually semi-perennial. You might be wondering, why is that? Well, its upper Karnataka catchment receives rainfall from the southwest monsoon between June and September, while its lower Tamil Nadu catchment gets fed by the northeast monsoon right after, from October to December. It literally gets the best of both monsoon systems. How cool is that? Tracing its actual path, the river originates way up at an elevation of 1,341 meters at Talak-Averi, right in the Brahmagiri range of the Western Ghats. From there, it flows southeast, acts as a natural boundary for about 64 kilometers between Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, and then forms this highly braided, super fertile delta, primarily via the Kollam distributary. This rich agricultural zone is rightly called the Garden of Southern India. And finally, the whole shebang empties right into the Bay of Bengal at Pumpuhar. Moving right along to Section 2, Catchment Basin Share, the Geographic Divide. Now, the root of all the regional dynamics we're going to discuss later lies right in the numbers. While the main river only flows through 2 states, the actual basin is shared across 4 distinct regions. Tamil Nadu holds the lion's share at about 54% of the catchment area, and Karnataka holds about 42%. Kerala and Puducherry make up those remaining much smaller fractions. Definitely keep these proportions in your back pocket. All right, Section 3, Tributaries. Left bank versus right bank. Okay, this is a huge focus for your prep, so punch these into your memory. The major left bank tributaries are the Harangi, the Hemavati, which by the way joins the Cauvery near the KRS Dam, the Shimsha, and the Arkavati, which famously flows right through Bengaluru. Flipping over to the right bank, we have an even longer, highly critical list of tributaries. We've got the Lakshmana Tirtha flowing through Nagarhole, the Kabini coming in from Kerala's Wayanad, the Suvarnavati, the Bhavani passing through the incredible Silent Valley, the industrially critical Noyal near Coimbatore, and finally the Amaravati originating in the Anamalai Hills. You've got to know these. The crucial geographical contrast to notice here is that while the left bank streams predominantly originate within central and southern Karnataka, key right bank rivers like the Kabini and Bhavani bring vital, heavy water flows all the way from Kerala and the Nilgiri Hills. This cross-border flow, yeah, that's exactly what makes managing this river basin so incredibly complex. Let's jump to Section 4, Dams and Infrastructure, controlling the flow. So, with those tributaries mapped out, let's examine the massive infrastructure built to actually harness this 800-kilometer powerhouse. You absolutely must know these 3 anchors. First up, the Krishna Rajasagara, or KRS Dam, up in Karnataka. Second, the Mettur Dam, also known as the Stanley Reservoir, located in Tamil Nadu right where the river enters the plains. And third, the absolutely legendary Kallanai Dam. Get this, it was built all the way back in the 2nd century AD by Chola King Karikalan. It's literally one of the oldest water diversion structures in the entire world that is still functioning today. Just mind-blowing. Beyond the dams, the river's geography creates some absolute natural wonders. You have the Shivanasama Falls, which, fun fact, actually hosted Asia's very first major hydroelectric power station back in 1902. Then there's the Hogananko Falls, beautifully dubbed the Niagara of India. Plus, as the river flows, it actually bifurcates to form 3 distinct sacred river islands. And what's really special is that all 3 house historic Ranganathaswamy temples. Those islands are Sri Rangapatna, Shiva Samutram, and Sri Rimgam. Moving into Section 5, Environment, Ecological Threats. Pivoting a bit to Paper 3 topics, this river ecosystem is currently facing 3 compounding, absolutely immense challenges. First, Deforestation in the Western Ghats is drastically altering the river's hydrology, and that's causing severe summer water scarcity. Second, rampant illegal sand mining is just destroying the riverbed and aggressively lowering the local water table. And finally, we have a massive pollution crisis. Highly toxic industrial effluents from textile hubs are pouring in via the Noyal tributary, and that's combined with huge amounts of untreated urban sewage from major cities. It's a really tough situation. Now, all of these geographical facts, the dams, the environmental pressures, they all lead us to the most critical, complex question of this entire explainer. With so much demand and so little supply, who actually has the right to use this water? And that brings us to Section 6, the water dispute, a century of conflict. So we transition now into polity and interstate relations to objectively examine one of India's oldest water disputes. This is predominantly between Upper Riparian Karnataka and Lower Riparian Tamil Nadu. The dispute itself logically maps out over more than a century. It starts way back with British-era agreements signed in 1892 and 1924. Then we move to the formal constitution of the Kaveri Water Disputes Tribunal in 1990. That's followed by its final award in 2007 and ultimately the definitive Supreme Court modification in 2018. That 2018 Supreme Court verdict objectively settled the numbers. It allocated 404.25 TMC to Tamil Nadu, specifically noting that the state had 10 TMC of extractable groundwater in its delta that it could utilize. At the same time, the court increased Karnataka's share to 284.75 TMC. Why? Well, specifically to address the absolutely crucial expanding drinking water needs of Bangalore. Now, to impartially implement this judgment, the central government established two key institutional mechanisms that you definitely need to remember. First, there's the Kaveri Water Management Authority, which functions as the apex monitoring body. And second, the Kaveri Water Regulation Committee. They act as the technical arm, responsible for collecting all that daily hydrological data to ensure everything is shared fairly. I want to leave you with this defining principle established by the Supreme Court, essentially declaring rivers as national assets. The court explicitly stated that no single state can claim exclusive ownership over interstate river waters. So what does this all mean? Well, the ultimate question to take away for your mains preparation is this. If no single state can claim ownership, how will India collaboratively and sustainably manage its most precious resources in an era of rapid climate change? Definitely keep that in mind as you study. Thanks so much for joining me for this rapid review explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.